right. Take 7,000. Welcome, everybody.
They don't need to know that.
Oh, sorry, take one. Welcome, everybody, to our live discussion of The Expanse. Me and Michael just finished watching it. We got lots of ideas on it. We just let you know this is a spoiler-filled. We're going to go into it in depth. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, go watch the episode. Come back onto YouTube. Watch whatever we've just said. We're going to go into it in depth.
Oops, sorry.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please leave us a comment, because either leave us a comment about how shit we are.
I'll get involved in the conversation. Why not? If you're going to be watching this, then you better be an Expanse fan.
Yeah, let us know what you think. If you're new to The Expanse, or if you're a hardened Expanse fan, whether you liked it or not, we'd love to hear what you got to say. So let's just first of all take our overall thoughts of the episode, and I'll throw that over to you, Michael.
Well, I know we said spoiler alert, but I'll try to just keep it spoiler free. So I really enjoyed it. I went into this worrying a little bit because so much has happened to the characters. They've been apart for so long. It's almost like, how are they gonna resolve this? It almost had. I actually had a feeling of forebodings, which is unusual because I don't get that invested very often in TV series. But I'm so connected with this television series. Like you can just go watch my recommendation video about it just to see how much I love this show. That I honestly really thought something was going to happen major. We were going to lose a character. We were going to lose the Rossi. I just felt like that anxiety watching, and I was feeling like that pretty much up until they finally resolved all of the plot threads, which happens about 35-40 minutes into the episode. Everything gets pretty much wrapped up into a nice bow. All of the plot threads lead back together. We're actually, I said to you before we started watching it, right as the Amazon Prime thing came up and it was getting ready to go, I was like, this is going to be a cliffhanger, isn't it? This is going to be a fucking cliffhanger. Unfortunately, there wasn't really a traditional cliffhanger. After we reached that climax in the episode and pretty much all of the plot threads were resolved, we had a little 10 to 15 minute sort of epilogue almost.
Basically putting the pieces on the chessboard for next season.
Yeah, getting everything sorted out. There was a slight cliffhanger in that you weren't expecting that ending. I wasn't expecting that ending. And just to be clear, anyone who's watched us discuss this before knows that I am a book reader, but I actually haven't got this far in the books. So overall, I absolutely loved the way that this played out. It played out to me perfectly for a season 5 finale, with knowing season 6 is going to be the final season. Because if they'd have really gone balls to the wall, cliffhanger, outdo yourself, I then wouldn't have had any faith going into season 6 that season 6 would have stood on its own. This season overall has actually done that quite effectively, especially considering we didn't think season 4 was that impressive. You don't like season 4, I don't mind it. It's the weakest of them all, but following up on season 4 with what we got with season 5 was great, because to me it brought us back to the basics of The Expanse. It brought us back to the characters at hand. It brought us back to the conflict, the geopolitical conflict of the solar system, with the protomolecule being this secondary MacGuffin-style plot device. And it was, again, as I say in my recommendation video, it was a very well self-contained season, and that finale was a perfect cherry on top.
Okay.
I've kind of ranted long enough.
Yeah. So my overall thoughts of the season finale, it was a very good season finale. The season as a whole it's been like a slow burn where lots have happened, because our main guys have not been together until literally this last episode. They've all been spread out. But as the episode went on,
lots happened over such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
That's the slow burn.
I like the fact that we got the major plot thread of the season finished by about 32 minutes into it. And then we had that people positioning themselves for season 6. I'm glad that it didn't end on a 100% cliffhanger, because I hate seasons that do that. I much prefer seasons like Star Trek that are long enough that they have a mid-season break, and that's where your cliffhanger is.
Well, that's how The Expanse used to do it when it was sci-fi.
Yeah,
it only started doing this whole serialized streaming format after Amazon Prime took over.
Well, that to me is how you do your cliffhanger. Having a cliffhanger at the end of a season sucks, because it really doesn't give you any closure to the season. This hasn't done it. It finished most of the plot threads. It got all our guys back together, and as far as bookending season 5, it did a very good job. you already know my thoughts on season 4, and that was because I just thought it was a bit grey and bland and dull. But season 5 went back to being what I loved about The Expanse in seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, like I said, went back to basics.
So that's my general thoughts of it. Next, I want to get rid of the elephant in the room that we were talking about, and that is the death of Alex. To me, that was shoehorned in because of the actor's indiscretions at Comic-Con, was it?
Well, let's just be clear. We don't know what the facts are. We have to go research into that. But it did strike it definitely had that feeling, that smattering of this was done post production.
Yeah. Well, we know he's been fired for indiscretions that he had
for being a jackass.
Yeah, for being in his private life. So they were left with one of two options: recast, kill him off. They chose to kill him off, and to me it was very jarring. This is the only part of the episode I didn't really like, because it was very jarring. It came out of left field. It was very, very weak in the way they wrote it in there. It was
so it wasn't really written. It was just kind of thrown in.
Yeah, it was like we got the euphoria of that Naomi had just been rescued by the Razorback and Bobby, because that whole build up to Naomi.
Oh, I was ready to jump up onto my feet and cheer when that happened.
Well, this is the funny thing. As we were watching it, as we've got the beautifully screen cinematography of looking through the side of Naomi's visor, and she's rotating, and she's frantically looking to see where the Razorback is. I said to Michael, I can't remember. Does Bobby's suit have thrusters on it so that she could fly space? And then literally, just as I'd finished saying that, Bobby turns up and grabs hold of her, and you can hear her talking like muffled through the suit. Clicks in the oxygen, and I thought that was built up so well.
It was really done. Really
so
well done.
Brilliant. And then, boom, jarring.
So, he wasn't even moving. It was so weird. It was almost like they took a still shot of him just sat piloting and then added in some little blood spurts.
Yeah, I could have probably used Photoshop with my razor pen and put it back.
Do you know what it made me think of? You know that episode of Simpsons with Poochie?
Oh, yeah.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Yeah. They didn't even really explain it. They show very quickly some screens, and he's obviously had a stroke from getting too much of the juice in him.
But I hadn't thought about that Poochie reference until just now, but it's so exactly what happens.
And then not only had one of our 4 main characters just died, they gloss over it so quickly after with our main characters that it's obvious that the main characters, the actors, are obviously really pissed at. Is it Casanova?
Casanova.
Yeah, Casanova. They are obviously pissed at him and didn't even really put that much effort or emotion into acting that he's dead and he's gone. It was like, all right, bye.
Well, we have a comment from Doc Cobrin. They probably just froze the tape and put red bubbles in it. That's exactly what we were theorizing. Because it did. The way that it was shot, it almost looked like they'd just taken a still frame of him and used keyframes to create a little bit of motion.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was very pretty much rammed in there.
But did you not get the feeling afterwards though, when they were doing? He's telling Amos, and he's like, "Hey man, I know you were close. Right, let's move on to the next thing." Oh, Naomi, he's going to get a state funeral. So anyway, it was like they just completely said, "Fuck you."
That's why I say if it was indeed done after the fact, then obviously they brought them back in to do some reshoots and to do some pickups after the fact. But it was a little weird. Like I think we discussed this before we went live. It was very similar to the way they handled the Carrie Fisher situation in Rise of Skywalker with the death of Leia.
It was in the Rise of Skywalker, it was so obvious that those lines Carrie Fisher was putting out were not meant for that film. Mm-hmm. So just to any producers out there, if an actor has to be written out of the show, kill him off screen. Have him die off screen, or like the idea you came up with, that he'd already had that little arc. He'd gone back to fix his life with his wife and kids and wanted to stay on that. And he could have just left what's it called, a message, because they could have even just done his voice.
Yeah. So Doc says again, they're having a funeral, but we aren't going to it because reasons.
Yeah.
Turns out he was a real jerk, and we're just going to space his body.
Well, yeah, that's it. Well,
I'm not sure if you were watching when I made the analogy, but if you've ever seen the Simpsons episode Poochie.
where it shows
And he's
the
like, I
frames.
have to go now. My planet needs me. That's honestly what it felt like.
It was just so that was the only part I didn't like about it, because I quite liked Alex as a character in real life. Obviously, the guy's a bit of a douchebag.
But he's the character.
Yeah,
when you see him on screen, he's the character, not the actor.
They could have definitely handled it slightly better.
To be fair, though, at least moving into season 6 now, it's an issue they don't have to worry about.
What it's also done is, I'm hoping for season 6, it's now opened a spot on the Rocinante that Peaches can fill, because I'm really looking forward to see the interactions between Holden and Peaches, because that scene when he brings her on, that was fucking hilarious. And it
was pretty good. I like the way they handled
the
that.
Expanse never really does, like...
Because, I mean, she tried to kill him.
Well, that's just it. But the Expanse never really does gut-busting humour, because it's not that type of show. But that one actually made me chuckle out loud, because the way she acted was perfect. And then it was just the sheer stonewall silence on Holden's face that he was like... You could tell he couldn't figure out... What the hell's going on?
Amos kind of backed him into a corner.
That was genius when he's like, "Hey, remember when you had a gun at my head and you said you'd kill me?" But then we got past that and became friends.
That's what I've loved about Amos's character arc over this season. So
he's definitely had the best.
Well, and he's finally learned how to develop a moral compass almost, because he definitely said he needed to get back to his crew, fearing that he's turning into a monster. But he's also discovered and learned a few things through his experiences with Clarissa. So it's really interesting to see the way that everybody's changed. So we've had someone just die.
So yeah, I get what you're saying there, that they need to have a Martian on the crew. I think Bobby though will stick with Avasarala. Now that she's back there.
And see, I said maybe Bobby's going to be on the ship.
Oh, I'd love to see Bobby on it,
but again, I've not read past this book, so I don't know.
I think they'll have to deviate from the books if Alex hasn't been killed off in the books. So, which character they put in there? I do like the idea of the Martian, especially with what Avasarala says at the end, that Earther, Martian, Belter, this is how we win the war. We all stick together. I think he's right. Having Bobby on the ship would be awesome. But I think where we left off when Amos brought Peaches onto the ship, I think she's probably going to take over the the void for the 4 crew. So anyway, let's just go back to the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning, because so far we've given our overall spoiler-free opinions, and we've discussed the elephant in the room of Kassanvar. But so let's start out with where it begins, because it just goes straight into it. Like we even said, this is a 56-minute episode, so there's obviously
lots to get done.
Lots to get done. But so we started
with Naomi.
See, I've already lost all my my memory.
So I'm going to go, rather than go from it chronologically, I'm going to go through the set pieces. So
actually, that's the best way to discuss it, really.
My thoughts about the Expanse all over. My weakest character of the 4, the one that I didn't particularly, I won't say I disliked, I was very, is the word ambivalent to him.
Careful, you might make some enemies here.
Well, no, it was Naomi Nagara. And I don't know whether it was the actress's portrayal or whether it was the way the character was written. I was just very about her. And then James Holden. As I said, my 2 favourites were Alex and Amos. In season 5, James Holden's had very little to do. But Naomi, to me, has been the main through runner, her and Amos. And in season 5, I've grown to love Naomi Nagara. What she's done in this season, just that ballsy jumping across fucking space to get onto the Chetzamoka, that was probably the best scene, I think, of the entire season. And then seeing what she did and what hardships she's gone through to stop the Razorback and the Rocinante coming and getting blown up, all that she put her through. And then, as I say, that's why when they had that great shot of her spinning in space and Bobby capturing her, that payoff was brilliant from what Naomi's just gone through.
Well, it's basically her character. She's supposed to be this like a brilliant engineer, and even though you get smatterings of it throughout the whole series, this is the first time you've really seen her in a situation where she's had no resources. She hasn't even had any oxygen, and somehow managing to make all this work with what she had it was very well done. I love Naomi, so I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it's because I know her from the book, so it kind of makes me. I love all four of our characters, and it's a shame that what happened with Alex. I can live with it moving forward, but I understand what you're saying. But it doesn't, just because we finally got a great sequence and a moment of sheer agency from Naomi in this season doesn't mean I think she's been problematic to this point.
No,
but we're discussing this finale.
I've never said that she's problematic. She just was never, out of the four of them, she was never the one that I was like really invested in. But this season, what she's done is make me become invested in her.
Yeah, it's hard not to have Amos be your favorite member of the crew with how well he's acted.
Yeah. And he had very little to do in this season finale.
In the finale, he wasn't even there.
he was barely in it.
He was waiting for the Rossi to show up,
breaking an expensive bottle of.
But that's why they were smart, and they finished his character arc in the penultimate episode.
So we had the Naomi bit.
Well, it starts out with the Rocinante and the crew discovering that they're basically they are running into a trap, and they've finally been caught by the Free Navy, and they have no choice but to just go balls to the wall and try to slow them down to give the Razorback a chance to go save Naomi.
Well, that was it. That we were discussing that as well. That when they were discussing what tactic they were going to do, I said that the tactic they should do is go in and take out the Belter ships first before they even try and take on the Martian ships, because they're more likely to take out the 3 Belter ships than the 2 Martian warships. But then, literally, just as I said that's the strategy they should do, Holden comes out and says that their actual point is to go through them and draw them away. So that's why they're going to go in and hit the big one hard and then make a run for it. And they basically knew it was a suicide mission.
I like that comment. You want to read that?
That tequila slowly falling. You're like, no!
Hashtag rest in peace, tequila. Do you know what I thought was going to happen? Actually,
I thought someone was going to catch it.
I thought Holden was going to step out and catch it. That would have been a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of symbolic, though, as well, of Eric and how Eric and Amos Timmy have reconciled with one another. Yeah. Rather that they don't need to have the drink. The shattering of the bottle was basically that was the nail in the coffin.
So anyway, the tactic that Holden was going to come on with was basically a suicide mission, and the guy who's replaced Fred Johnson,
Bull.
I thought halfway through the season he was playing an angle. But then in this episode, I've realised that he's not. He's not playing any angle.
They were really hastily putting his character together.
Yeah.
So I understand that. They were doing that quite often, actually, with characters throughout this season. Even as far back as season 3, we started to get characters from the book who were essentially being combined into one character.
They had to do that, though, like in Game of Thrones, because the books are so expansive. Oh. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
See what I did? Any
Don't make me think though that's where they're going with season 6.
No, but because after 5 it went bad. Any book adaptation generally has so many characters because you can put them down on paper and the reader reads them at his leisure. To whack that many characters into an hour episode once a week, you'd end up with just a complete clusterfuck of people, and you'd be like, who was that again? Who the fuck was that? So I don't mind them, but like you're saying, it came across that his character was smashed together very quickly. And again, at the start, throughout the season, I thought he was playing an angle. But then in this episode, it kind of clarified to me that he's not. He's literally out there to get retribution for Fred.
Well, that actually reminds me as well. So Alex's death. This is a book spoiler, so you might want to just put us on mute while I say this. But see, Fred dies later on from where he actually died in the show. He dies aboard the Rocinante pulling crazy maneuvers.
Juice, yeah.
He ends up having a seizure because of overdosing on the serum. So I feel like the Alex death was a little bit of a nod to that, a little bit of a wink.
And that was already written down from of how someone could die in high G maneuvers.
So they've actually done a pretty good job of combining characters, because even Kamina in this season is a combination of a few different characters, and they sort of kind of threw in the whole polygamist family plot that she has going in the season, the drummer faction.
Well, let's talk about that scene then when the Rocinante does catch up with the 5 ships, and Drummer does exactly what I knew Drummer was going to do.
I actually was kind of shocked at how quick the turn was, because they were really, like I say, they were shoehorning in the whole polygamous relationship. So they were really trying to make us feel that tension between her and Oksana about having to betray Marco or betray Naomi. So I actually thought in the end it was done well by having Oksana straight up be like, nope, that's it, I'm done. So now she's a villain. And the family's split down the middle. It was a little bit heartless, to be honest, that Kamina just sacrificed Serge like that, which means he was probably at the bottom of the pecking order of the family.
Well, no.
But one thing I said, and I'm not sure if you caught as we were watching it, when Oksana's confronting her about it, she's like, I can't believe you betrayed us. And I said, well, if she hadn't, the cost would have been her soul.
Yeah.
I was seeing a very Kirk from Search for Spock parallel.
Well, so I want to put this way. So, like you say, Serge and Oksana are all part of this polygamous family, but Naomi to Drummer is more family than they ever were
in the show.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's what we're going about.
Yeah.
And like in the show, it's a sister thing, and it's like they're blood relatives as opposed to just friends. So I always knew Drummer was going to betray Marco.
Well, and that's why I kind of didn't really feel. I always knew that Kamina was going to save the day at the end, because I didn't feel those relationships.
I really wish it was her, though, that had killed, what's her name? Rather than get hit on the head with a fire extinguisher and then smashing her face into a console.
It gives that character something to do, builds her up for next season.
Well, when they split as well and they go their own way, what Kamina says to Oksana is true. Oksana, first episode of season 6, Oksana's ship's going to get blown up by Marco. Marco's not going to take him back. He's going to see them all as traitors and kill them. So she says there's no way we can go and hide. So even though she takes her own ship and half of the polygamous family, she'll get annihilated. Marco will not see any difference. Even if she says, "Listen, I want any part of it," he'll use her as a what do you call it? Use them as an example, and just he won't even space him. He'll just blow him up.
To be fair to Oksana, though, she never does say she's going to Marco.
No, but
she's just leaving Kamina.
I know, but that's what Drummer says, though. There's no way you can hide. Marco will hunt her down, because Marco cannot have it seen that the factions can disobey him like that, and he's already shown that throughout the series. Any faction that didn't join him, he wiped off the face of out of the universe. So,
yeah, it was foreshadowed earlier.
So the fact that she's leaving, to me, is dumb, because she's just making herself weaker.
Well, but I mean, like, technically Kamina cheated on her. So that's why I say she's not necessarily going back to Marco. She's just leaving Kamina.
I don't see it as cheating on her. Like, if she did it to rescue a family.
So if you were in a relationship with 5 other people, and one of the people in your relationship just indiscriminately sacrificed one of your lovers, you wouldn't see that as being unfaithful.
No, I'd see it as a reason to leave.
Basically, Oksana sees it as she's been cheated on by Kamina with Naomi.
Yeah. But then again, though,
I'm not saying it's not stupid.
No,
I'm just saying there is a reason for it.
And as I say, that will be one of the first plot threads that gets sorted out in the first 6 seasons. They'll be wiped out. They'll be wiped out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
because we really don't care about them.
No,
the only person we care about on that ship is Drummer. And that's a credit to Cara G, because she's phenomenal. She's one of my favorite actors
throughout the entire
show.
Season, I know they tried to make it out like that they were a very close-knit, polygamous family and all that, but I never even really got that feeling.
There was a lot of that going on in this season, though. Did you not notice? A lot of that, there's this person, and you need to get to know this person as quickly as possible.
Because they're close to one of our main characters.
Because that like Ball, they also did the same with Monica, even though Monica was there.
Eric as well.
With Eric, yeah, there's a quite, but that being said, that is Eric's introduction in the novels, because there's the little novella, The Churn, which introduces him, right. And that at least is faithful to the books. These other characters are just kind of like, yeah, we've got these guys, get on board with these guys. Fortunately, we love our other characters just as much, so we don't have to worry about it. And speaking of which, our Chrissy's all grown up. If you think of where she's come from episode 1 up to this point, she's come from torturing belters on gravity hooks all the way to, no, we're all one people.
We're all one solar system.
And how awesome was that? Because she was very underused in this season.
She was, and she's one of my favorite characters in it.
Yeah.
because I think her role.
I love Shora Aghdashloo.
And it was strange because when
Admiral Ran.
after the rocks hit Earth, from her previous actions, I was expecting her to want to destroy Pallas and Ceres and get revenge like that.
But she's changed.
But I know that's what I mean. But that's what I was thinking. So my first instincts were she was going to go back to being old Avasarala and just wipe belters off the face of the belt. But like you say, her arc is.
I'm glad she didn't.
No, her arc's gone the complete opposite direction, and now she's the one that wants to bring everybody together.
Yeah,
which I really liked.
We've had enough of this inner loader, belter loader problem. Like we're all humans.
So I think that brings us on to the last scene. Or do you want to talk anything about Marco?
Well, Marco pretty much is the last scene. There's not much goes on with him throughout the episode. The funnel point of this whole story that we've had in season 5 is essentially Naomi on the Chetzamoka, Alex and Bobby on the Razorback, Drummer with her ships, and the Rocinante, and they all came together, and they all came together perfectly. And as we said, Amos's story had already been wrapped up in the previous episode, so we pretty much touched on it all.
When he's talking,
it's hard to really go into discussion about the Alex situation because of what happened, but we did kind of gloss over the Bobby coming to save the day, because as you pointed out, we wanted to revel in that fact. Because you were saying, doesn't her power armor have thrusters?
We talked about that.
We didn't know. We glossed over it to get to the Alex situation. Because when that was happening on screen, I was really convinced. Technical difficulties. I was really convinced that she was going to die.
Well, yeah.
Because think about it. That's why it's such masterful storytelling. How the hell do you jump out of a moving, spinning object in space and somehow get discovered at the last minute? Space is a very big place. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a plot convenience that Bobby was able to pick her up, but hey, it's a sci-fi show. We're talking about this proto-molecule that can literally change the entire makeup of physical matter. So I'm gonna forgive them for having that awesome moment, because to me, Bobby Draper is one of my favorite characters. As a matter of fact, it was a moment with Bobby Draper in season 2 that made me fall in love with the series. I'm not saying that I wasn't in love with the series by that point necessarily, but that was the moment where Bobby discovers the ocean in season 2 on Earth.
Lake Ontario.
Lake Ontario, of course. Stop ruining my immersion. That scene is what basically made me realize, oh shit, I've stumbled across a gold mine with this show. I was watching it because I was enjoying it episode to episode, but at that moment in season 2, I was like, yes, this is legit. And that's when I went out and bought the books. So Bobby is one of my favorite characters. To see her come to the rescue like that was just such a rewarding moment.
That scene was the best part of the episode.
Yeah,
because
except it was kind of dampened by the immediate...
Like I said before we got on to the Alex thing, it's the slow build-up of what Naomi's been through over the past few episodes. She makes the decision to try and save Alex and Bobby, that she's going to jump out into space with no oxygen. She's doing a belter emergency code, and that could have gone wrong in a million ways. The chances of her being captured by the Razorback was very low, but she took that risk because she knew that if she stayed in there, that Alex would try and dock, and boom, they'd die. So that bravery from Naomi was brilliant, and then the whole shot, as we talked about earlier, through the visor, and of her breathing getting slower and slower, and then she mentions, I called you a brilliant idiot, and then she appears to pass out just as you hear this clunk of Bobby saving her and connecting the hose. That was excellent. And then we just ripped straight out of the moment.
We're pulled out of the moment quite a lot by the Alex death scene, yeah. But we've talked about that ad nauseum.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say though is it's actually it's quite an interesting theme that ran through this episode, because the main theme for me was luck.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good fortune had to take place for everything to resolve the way it did. Now that could be considered lazy writing, but I think it's definitely by design. I do think that it was very important to acknowledge that everything happened by chance. From Naomi being discovered by Bobby, from the right amount of people on board Kamina's ships acting out their own areas of subterfuge. Because if you think about it, the guy who was on the ship with Oksana, if he hadn't have been on Kamina's side, he wouldn't have launched the missiles that took out the Martian ships. And if I forget her name, but the lass who hit her over the head with the fire extinguisher, if any of these people had been on the different ships, then that wouldn't have happened.
But that's just generally the plot.
Yeah, well, okay, but it's still though. There's far too many things happen by chance. Far too many forgivable things happen by chance in this episode for it to be by chance.
Well, so like we said, we had all that action, and then the band got back together minus. Dead Alex. They
had to do an awful lot of pickups.
Yeah, because
let's go over it real quick. So you have the reunion, and then in that same shot you have James Holden.
The first one you have is Holden with Naomi in the infirmary, and he's telling her that he died, and
it's hard not to discuss this.
Yeah,
it's such an elephant in the room.
He died. He's gonna have a full honours military funeral. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. How are you?
Yeah. So let's put that to bed. So it was very weirdly handled, but at least it's dealt with.
It's gone. Yeah.
It didn't ruin the show. It didn't ruin the series. It didn't ruin it any more than Cass Anvar ruined it for the fans by behaving the way he did.
Well, you had all the tension in Naomi getting rescued. You had the great tension on Drummer's ship. You had
the stakes just kept going up.
You had the battle with the Rocinante, where they thought they were going to be doomed, but Kamina turned tail and helped out the Rocinante. You had the reunion. You had the great speech from Avasarala, and then you had them Holden, Avasarala, and Bobby get rushed out. The ending was a little confusing to me, because when I first saw Marco start doing his speech to was it Philip or was it to the ship? It was just to Philip, wasn't it? That this is something that we never had the opportunity. We're giving
the knife in the dark.
Yeah. And then you see them going towards a bluish object. I thought they were going to attack Earth, and I said that to you. He goes, "Oh fuck, they're gonna make a strike on Earth," but they're not. They're going to the ring gates.
Just to be clear, the Earth is fucked.
Yeah, but then it was
It hasn't been that clear in this season, but I know this from where I've gotten to in the books. But the Earth is in fact
3 meteors
screwed.
like that. That would be full nuclear. It's a extinction level event.
That being said, the UNN fleet is still at Earth with Luna and whatnot.
Because protecting the ring gate was only, what was it, 2?
You get the chat up. My phone died.
2 UN ships.
Don't be shy, by the way. We know you're out there. Give us a like or a thumbs down, whichever.
The what's it called? The
let us know what you think.
Was it only? It was 2 UN ships, wasn't it?
No, several. There was UN ships and Martian ships.
But it was only the 2 UN ships that were taken out.
No, way more, because the Donnager class ship that was there, the Martian Donnager ship, got taken out. The implication is that there was a fleet there, and
see, this is where it was a little muddled for me, because to me it was that they took out the 2 UN ships, and the second UN ship got taken out from missiles from inside the ring.
That's all we saw. There was a fleet there. The knife in the dark that Marco was referring to will have been the Martian turncoats, which was really sinister.
Yes. But
that character we met earlier in the season, both of those characters, but the whole out here there is there's no rule of law. The martial law is the rule. So if you act up, it means a bullet in the head. And what's that? That's not dress code.
So something that popped into my head just as the end credits were rolling was that all this time, the way Marco got his Martian ships wasn't what I thought. I thought he'd stolen the proton molecule, and me and you both thought this, as a way of making sure that Earth didn't retaliate against him, and that he could threaten to use the proton molecule on Earth. But that wasn't it at all. That was the bargaining chip to get his ships. The Martians came to Marco and said,
hold on, sorry. No, he did say that. After the rocks fell, he did say that if you retaliate, I will use the...
But that's not what they stole it for, though.
No, but I'm just saying, it's not like it wasn't a theory of ours. No. It was in the text that's what he was trying to do.
But what he'd actually done is stolen it to pay
a bit of a twist
for his Martian ships, and that I only put that 2 and 2 together.
Got to make something clear. this was established in season 4 that ships were being dismantled and then sent out to the Belters and given to the Belters. Also, full ships were being exchanged with the Belters.
Yeah.
So there were Martian ships like the Pella, that
the ones that went missing,
and the Sierra Moore that were actually manned by Belters.
Yeah.
But then the Sword in the Dark was actually Martian
defectors,
actually joining him. Yeah.
And that's what I was saying though.
In exchange to get through the ring gate.
I never put it together that it was the Martians that had asked Marco to steal the proto-molecule so that they could he said he had it, but he never actually said he'd use it. So it was the Martians who basically from what I got at the end of that is the Martians approached Marco and said, we know you want to start an insurrection, we'll give you these ships, but we want you to steal the proto-molecule, because they've obviously had plans to do whatever the fuck they're doing on that planet that we saw at the end. And again,
well, if you haven't read the books, that's complete mystery.
Yeah,
and given that I haven't got that far yet, it's complete mystery. So it was a nice. I thought it was a really good way to end it, especially considering that they managed to close all of the plot threads of season 5, and then just open up that final plot thread moving forward. I thought it was a sufficient amount of intrigue.
Yeah. So see, Oliver says he thinks it's actually more of a Martian plan, and I agree with him. That it was more of than Marco's. That the Martians.
Oh, Marco is actually he is actually a pawn.
He's a pawn from these Martian defectors. I
like that.
And as I say, it was a great shock ending because I didn't see that coming at all. Now, I knew that the girl that Alex had tried to get info off, we obviously knew she was a bit dirty and the Admiral was a bit dirty. But up until this point, we just thought it was the fact that they were trading weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We never thought that they actually have a nefarious intent for the proto-molecule on the planet on the other side of the ring gates. So that's obviously going to be the main plot thread for episode 6.
And see, this is why it was, in my opinion, season 5 is only the second season that Amazon has produced, but it's back to true form for me for The Expanse. Because season 4, that's what it was missing. It was missing the political intrigue. The only real political intrigue we had in season 4 was the Nancy Gao, Avasarala debate thing. There was Bobby's storyline of figuring out what's going on with all of this black market military stuff, but for the most part, season 4 didn't have that, and we finally got that that political intrigue back in season 5.
Yeah,
and was it!
So Doc says you even saw the disdain that Savati had for Marco, and that's true. So are we thinking that these Martians? I tell you, do you know what it came across to me when they started saying on about when she had the bracelet and stuff, that this is an extremist faction of Martians who are like xenophobes, and they're like Martian Nazis.
Oh, of course, I was getting very mad, like
that's what they
dictator vibes from that guy. Oh yeah.
And so,
are we getting into theory crafting here? Is that what's going on?
Well, we can finish up that at the end of the discussion, but I just want to just go over the last bit. That it's obvious now that Marco's also infiltrated Medina Station. So Marco, technically, he doesn't have the proto-molecule now.
Or it was a terrible miscommunication from the Medina leadership.
Yeah, but he does have control of the ring gates.
I'm joking.
Just to go on, like the disdain was when he was talking to him and he's like, our minefield is now active. So basically, stay the fuck away is what he was saying to Marco.
It's interesting that they chose the planet they did choose.
Well,
because there's all those rings. There must be a reason.
Well, yeah. They obviously, whatever artifacts that they found, they want the proto-molecule to see if they can use that to activate it.
That was interesting, seeing Cardazar after so long.
Yep, and his excitement of oh, hang on, it's you.
Sorry, we've got new cameras. We're dealing with new cameras. I'll continue on here. So, seeing Cardazar after so long was very, very out of left field for me, because when he popped up on screen, I was like, wait a second, I know who that is. And he'd been gone for so long, I had to think about it. And I was like, oh, shoot. It's Cardazar, which is very interesting as a book reader, too. But if you didn't gather this, though, from AI Miller in Season 3 and 4, the Miller AI basically explained to Holden that the proto-molecule's job was to build the ring gates. And when the ring gates were complete, that was it. Its task was over, and it doesn't have to... It's got nothing else to do. That's why the Miller AI wanted to die, because it's like without the builders around, I gotta go. I gotta do something with my life. Can I die? So with that in mind, it makes me wonder again. Now that I'm out of book territory because I don't know where I'm at, it makes me wonder what the hell the protomolecule could possibly be doing, because its job's supposed to have been complete. So is Cortazar, as someone who knows about the protomolecule and has been studying the protomolecule, is he giving it new directives? Is he giving it new things to do? I don't know. That's why I say we're going to be getting into theory crafting territory pretty soon. Yeah, we had a battery down, so. Anyways, we've got quite a few people watching in the chat. It's very, very nice to have you guys along. We love having interactions, and it's always nice to see what other Expanse fans think of the Expanse. As mentioned off the bat when I started, I actually did do a Expanse recommendation video. It's only a 3 to 4 minute video, but it basically outlines what I love about the show without going into spoiler territory too. So if you have any friends who you'd like to get involved in the Expanse, like I do, I got both my brothers to watch it and I got my dad to watch it. So if you honestly need something to help give someone that little bit of extra impetus to go ahead and just get Amazon Prime and give it a watch, direct them to our channel and get them to give the video a watch. I'd like to think I'm pretty compelling. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by all means, give us a subscription. We do weekly podcasts. We also try to get as much content up as we can during the week. Matthew's back now.
My God, Joe Rogan didn't have these fucking problems.
Yeah, well, Joe Rogan's a millionaire. So.
Yeah, so...
we were talking about Dictator Guy and Cortazar.
Yeah, it was the sheer his very abruptness to Marco. There wasn't like thanks for doing it. It was basically we've got this, we've mined it, now fuck off.
I really like what Doc said because I hadn't thought of that. Maybe I'm just a little bit gormless, but I do like him pointing out that Marco might not be in as much control as he thought he was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or thinks he is.
The Martians basically played Marco. We'll give you a few ships. You give us the protomolecule.
Because Cortazar is with the Martians.
Yeah. So they've obviously found something on that planet.
Well, they found more of the Builders civilization.
Well, there was that thing in space.
The unknown entity that destroyed the Builders.
Well, do we know that? Because it actually lights up blue like protomolecule.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought you were talking about when they were... Because remember, when the Martians were passing through the ring gate, they don't see like the Stargate water effect. They saw the
from
sinister,
season 4.
They saw the sinister evil alien thing that Holden showed to Fred at the beginning of season 5.
No, I was talking about the thing in the sky that Cortazar's obviously so excited about. I don't know whether it was during the end credits as the credits were rolling because we sat watching as they were going through the cloud, but it actually lights up blue from the protomolecule.
Well, yeah, it's obviously a proto-molecule construct.
So that's obviously what let's call them Martian Nazis from now on. That's obviously what they want because they've obviously broken away from Mars. Because they came in...
Nazis in space.
So,
sorry.
Yeah. so they'd broken away from Mars and basically were doing their own thing. So yeah, that's where it ended. So overall, awesome finale, awesome season. Any other points?
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the whole season, which is actually quite a lot to say because I didn't rewatch season 4. I've watched season 1, 2, and 3 now 3 times.
Yeah,
I watched season 4 once. I'm probably going to watch it again with our father. But I actually would like to go back now and binge watch season 5. Next time I get a day off, I'm going to probably watch all 5 again. Because, as you say, it was a slow burn, but a lot happened.
So Doc mentioned a good thing here. He goes, of course they did. Mars isn't pure. It has civilians on it. I got that vibe. I got a very Starship Troopers vibe from that Admiral.
Mm-hmm.
That he is a... military.
Oh, it's very on the nose, yeah.
Yeah. So...
But you see, isn't that sort of a side effect of having such a militaristic civilization like Mars? Because if you go back to Bobby's character arc now, since she's been in it, her entire character arc is about being this indoctrinated do-good soldier,
and going the opposite
and then
direction.
finding out, and then getting disillusioned by her own nation, and finding out that she's not the truth hasn't necessarily been what she thought it was. Discovering, for instance, that Earth isn't this perfect paradise that they keep telling her that it is, and that that essentially her learning that the universe isn't quite so black and white, and
well, that runs along the lines of a lot of military indoctrination.
Well, Bobby and Alex are the two people who learn that, figure that out. I forget his name. Salvatore, is it? Salvatore.
T.
Yeah.
Salvatore.
I can't pronounce any of these names.
Salvatore.
Him and his faction. Yeah, him and his faction. They are the extreme. You got the two extremes.
Yeah.
Left
We shall
versus right.
forever call him Martian Nazi Admiral. Martian Nazi Admiral. That's all you need to say.
I'm just going to call him Captain Dictator.
Yeah. So that's 5 seasons down. 4 very strong seasons. Well, 3 very strong seasons. A good opening season. A different kind of 4th season.
I actually really like season 1. I miss Miller when he's not there.
Yeah, Tom Jane's awesome though, and I like
he's involved in the production now. Is Tom?
I also liked Anderson Dawes as well. I thought he was a good character.
Yeah, but Jared Harris is a fantastic actor, and it would be amazing if we could get him back for season 6. But it's.
Well, do you want to touch on a little bit before we wrap this up? Do you want to touch on a little bit of theory crafting?
Sure, I really don't know where I could go any more than I've already discussed.
Well,
because I do know something about the books that I have actually accidentally found out. So I don't really want to run into the risk of spoiling this for anybody.
I don't think. Ooh, that's a good one. Buzz Natural thinks that the people on the ships got their molecules deleted by the spooky ghost aliens, so that they didn't even make it through. And that as they were going through, but the only thing about that though is why didn't those aliens stop
Cortazar?
The pre-party that went through.
Yeah, because the whole purpose of those nefarious aliens that we know is that they are trying to stop the protomolecule. They're trying to stop the builders.
Do we know that they're nefarious though?
Well, I mean, James is our.
But he's
he's our captain idealist. So if he says they're bad, then I believe James when he says they're bad.
Yeah, but that's.
This is why I think this show has so much in common with Mass Effect.
To me, the Jedi are evil from my point of view.
To me, the protomolecule and the builders are the Protheans from Mass Effect, and the nefarious bad guys are the Reapers.
So Chris Wiss says there isn't a molecule left in them, according to the epilogue. Maybe Cortazar woke them up.
Interesting. Wait, epilogue? Did we miss something?
I think he's on about the bit we were talking about where the Martians go through.
Now, like I said, this is why I think I'm going to rewatch the whole season. Now that it's out, I'm going to binge watch it in order, like a 10-hour movie. Just in case there's a couple of things I missed. And that's why I say I don't want to get into theory crafting, because I know what's going to happen eventually with this planet. I don't know how it gets to that point.
He says from the end of the book.
Oh, see there, yeah. I haven't got this far in the books,
and I haven't read any books.
And he's not read any of the books. I will be continuing to.
Well, I want to do a little bit of theory crafting because I like doing that shit. Hence our other episode. I'm not going to theory craft on anything that happens on the planet where the Martians are, because that threw me. That kind of like completely caught me off guard. That's what happened at the end of this episode. I did not see that coming. I did not expect any of it. So Buzz Natural thinks the red spooky ghosts are upset people are going through their world when they traverse the ring. Maybe them traversing the ring causes damage to their existence, like
kind of like the
spore drive in
the
Discovery.
mycelial network in Star Trek Discovery.
But that's happened in a lot of other shows where I think it's in Babylon 5 where they're traveling through some kind of transverse space that they're causing damage on.
Well, it's kind of an allegory for environmentalism and whatnot.
But I'm not going to theory craft on anything that happens through the rings because I didn't.
The problem with those aliens is we know
nothing,
very little about them.
Yeah, and again, from Holden's point of view, he said they were nefarious, but that's only Holden's point of view.
And his point of view might have been warped a little bit by having the Miller AI in his brain,
because the nefarious aliens, as we're calling them, they could have actually been good aliens that stopped the builders who were evil. And it was the builders who were evil with the protomolecule. Or it could have just been two sides of a war.
So the builders were the Reapers, and
Yeah.
the nefarious aliens are actually the Proteans,
Well-
and then they became like the fucking collectors.
Well-
Sorry, I'm making too many Mass Effect analogies.
But that could just be it, though. There's always two sides to a war. It's very rare that one side of the war is good and one side of the war is evil.
Well, and this show excels in being able
Yeah.
to straddle that grey area.
So I'm not going to Theorycraft on that because it threw me through a loop. But I do think now that Avasarala knows that Marco's got control of the rings, there'll be a concerted Martian, what's left of Mars anyway, and Earth, and potential factions of Belters that will join together now, as she said in that thing,
Absolutely.
to try and reclaim the ring.
The whole reason she made that little speech
Yeah.
wasn't just because she felt like cheering everybody up.
Oh,
it's obvious that we're going to have this whole everyone holding hands and getting together and saving the day.
I just want to point out as well, one of the things I love so much about this series is their attention to detail and science.
Oh, hell yeah.
What's the name of the guy on the ship that gets killed? Surge?
Surge, yes.
Surge. Does he die in a back of a core capsule inside the Earth?
Yeah.
No, when Surge dies and they're crying, their tears flow off into space. Now, that takes an awful lot of meticulous detail and people who are on the ball saying, well, no, this is what had happened. You can't just have them crying, it dribble down the face, the tears would.
Well, like I said, they had Adam Savage on this show for crying out loud.
It's so good.
Their attention to detail when it comes to understanding the science and keeping the science on key is amazing. And one of the main reasons I love the show, a great example is the fact that space travel in general is this dangerous, long,
like when she says,
affair.
What's the transmission delay? And it's like 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So all that shit that we then see at the end has already been done when Avasarala sees it. So
in the very first episode, when I see that they get gravity from thrust,
yeah,
I was over the moon when I saw that.
Yeah, so that's just my any theory crafting thoughts. You think the same thing? There's gonna be a band of the tri-species, so the Belters, the Earthers, and the Martians.
we're gonna get the whole Marco and Aros thing come to a head.
I think that'll come to a head very early on. I think the first quarter of the next season, that will be dealt with.
Especially with this revelation that he might not be as in control as he thinks. Knowing that, and given the things he's done, he's going to have a very horrific ending. Like, he's going to be on his knees begging for mercy, crying. He's going to go out like an absolute wimp.
Pussy. Yeah, I don't see him be a charge of the Light Brigade, die in a glorious Klingon death.
Or his hubris comes to face him. Because there is the whole he thinks himself an Alexander the Great type, so he might go out in what he considers a dignified death. But he's going to go out
It'd be even better if he gets caught and he just ends up in a gulag somewhere.
Or ends up, as Christian Avasarala says, on hooks.
Yes.
Oh man, that would be so good if he ends up on hooks. I'm not condoning torture, but Marco and Aros killed billions of people, so I might turn my head for that one.
I think that will all get wrapped up nice. I'm not going to say quickly. I don't think they'll do it. They'll do it justice, but I think this new Martian faction in the Ringgate worlds and the proto molecule and whatever they found in orbit of that planet, that's going to be the main driving force for next season.
Yeah, and also it's not like those two factions are necessarily really friendly with each other. I didn't get that impression. I got the impression that attacking the blockade at the gates, taking over the gates, that was like a necessity. We're going to do this because we both want this. Helps us both. But as soon as that's over, there's no love lost between those two factions.
Oh no, that's
they could very much eat each other alive from the inside.
Well, that's what Doc says. That there was disdain from the Martians for the Free Navy, and that's why they've put a minefield over their gate, so that the Free Navy can't go through their gate now.
Yeah, there was actually a couple of themes on the whole racism, xenophobia thing throughout the episode, because even Bull referring to them as skinnies.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Like, Holden had to tell him that's the last time you're going to call them skinnies on my ship.
So, who do you think want Monica Stewart?
That's an interesting question.
What does it mean? Who do you think?
So Monica, they instead of just killing her during the attack on Tycho, they wanted to take her prisoner.
I think she's got something downloaded in her optical implant that she's seen.
Well, yeah. Do you have an actual theory on what that might be?
Well, they wanted to take her at the same time that they were capturing the proto-molecule. So I think it's the Martians that want her. She has information on how to utilize the proto-molecule stored in her implant, and it was a package deal. Steal the proto-molecule, kidnap Monica. We want them both. And obviously they only
She's
got
just
one.
a reporter, though.
Yeah, but she may have seen something because she's got that optical implant that records everything.
So someone would have to know that, though.
Yeah, well, these Martians are obviously got their fingers in lots of dirty pies. So I think all of us right there we'll figure that out probably in the second third of the series. But yeah, the last 2/3 of the season, I don't see them. If season 6 is the last season, I don't see them introducing this new thread of these Martians, and that not being the main running story.
Well, this is where I learned a couple of details about later books. There is a new empire that gets set up on that planet.
Yeah, because didn't you say the next set of books is jumped like 30 years in the future or something?
I like I say, I've not read those books, but I accidentally found out some details about it. That's one of the main reasons why they're choosing to end with season 6, because they want to limit the story to the whole Free Navy conflict. They don't really want to go past that, and so if they do bring those plot elements into season 6, which they're gonna have to, as you quite rightly point out, they've said it now. They've brought in this whole Martian faction thing. Unless that's it. We don't hear from them again.
That would be really
save.
weird.
Well, maybe they save it for a
different season,
for a spin-off
series,
or a spin-off.
Yeah, spin-off series.
Not the Expanse, but like a new story set through the gate. You never know.
Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah, exactly. When you think
The fact that they go through a big ring of water.
Yeah, well,
it's a bit on the nose there.
It's funny when I was watching it the other day for the season 3 for the second time with someone else who I've introduced to the show. They actually pointed out just how much that reminded them of Stargate.
Yes, they have to wait for 30 years until the actors age up so they can renew the series. I don't want to wait 30 years.
Yeah, but if you think about the trend of reboots and sequels and stuff now, they basically happen 30 years on. We got the Star Wars sequels 30 years on, so everybody's probably going to get to that point where 30 years from now they age up, and people are going to want to know, hey, look, are you going to play that role again? Are we going to rejuvenate this franchise?
I hope they don't.
Reboot time.
Well, if it's 30 years in the books, they technically don't even need to wait 30 years. They could say 10 years and still have the actors now looking, because they're adults.
Sure. What I'm hoping for is that it's not in Amazon Prime's MO, but I'm hoping that season 6 is going to be longer than 10 episodes. I really want them to do it.
Yeah.
Because I felt the problem with this season, and it was mostly because of the way the characters kind of split up, but this season felt kind of like a Game of Thrones season, where they were...
Oh, you mean characters are spread out around the world.
And so as a result, they're constantly rushing to get plot threads dealt with every episode. The amount of screen time per episode that any given character is on is very limited. Well, because Christian's here, we have to deal with all of her plot threads now, and then move on to Amos. And because he's here, we got to deal with all of his. And then if we get enough time, maybe we'll get onto Naomi's plot threads, and so on and so on. So I'm hoping now that everybody's back, we go back to season 2, season 3 format, and give us some extra episodes and really delve into what's left from the source material.
You think about this season, they basically concentrated mainly on Amos and Naomi, and Holden and Alex. I'm not going to say they took a backward step, but especially Holden. Holden had nothing to do. So, yeah.
Do you know what Holden reminded me of though this season?
What?
You might not relate, but Dante's Inferno. Dante going through hell to save the soul of his beloved Beatrix. It felt like Holden going through hell to save the soul of his beloved Naomi.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you know what Dante's Inferno is?
I know it's a book, but
it's a poem.
I could definitely see that.
It's also, there's a video game series based off of it. It's like a God of War style video game series. But I think we're getting pretty much close to the end here.
Yeah, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, I'm just going to summarize now and say that I love this show now more than I ever have done before. It's thank God it's not started to go the direction that other series that we won't name. Well, I already named one of them. Game of Thrones has gone. This is continuing to deliver week in, week out, episode after episode. And I even think season 4 is still a very rewatchable series. And those are my final thoughts.
And for me, after season 4, I thought that they were going down that route, that it was getting weaker and weaker, maybe run its course. Season 5, back on point. In fact, probably after season 3, season 5's been the best season.
Mm-hmm. Come season 6, we're going to have to do episode by episode live reviews.
we'll do that. As I say, we're getting into this stuff.
I'm so glad there's another season left.
My overall thought is don't wait too long to get season 6 out, because there's very little out there at the moment. And they could really capitalize on being the only big.
Well, it's greenlit, and I think pre-production's already well underway. Yep. If you think about how quickly they got The Boys season 2 out, it's very and then even Netflix with The Witcher, it's very likely they'll get season 6 out pretty quick.
So we'll have The Witcher before.
We'll have The Witcher, we'll have Boys season 3, and we'll have the Expanse season
and
6.
Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
I'm not interested in Book of Boba Fett, really.
I don't know.
I don't want to start a fight. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun tonight. We actually did this impromptu. That's why it was kind of a little bit of a back and forth discussion. I'd like to go ahead and thank everybody for watching, and thank you all for the comments. And please give us a like if you like what we do, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, so long.
See you later.